This is Charlie. He's an African gray parrot, and he's probably going to outlive me. In fact, he's already outlived every single person he's ever called family, and I'm just the latest in a very, very long line. His story isn't just about a long-lived bird. It's about a creature who has watched generations of human history unfold from his perch. Charlie's story begins, as far as we can trace it, in 1910. He was hatched somewhere in the dense rainforests of Central Africa, but his wildlife was short. He was captured and shipped to London, a city bustling with horse-drawn carriages and the first sputtering automobiles. His first owner was a wealthy merchant named Arthur. Arthur was a kind but lonely man who bought Charlie for a small fortune, hoping for a companion. Charlie learned quickly. He mimicked the clatter of teacups, the chime of the grandfather clock, and Arthur's frequent, hearty laughs. He learned to say, "Good morning, Arthur," and "Time for tea." Arthur adored him, showing him off at lavish parties. For 20 years, Charlie was the jewel of the Penelgon household. But time is crueler to humans than to pets. In 1930, Arthur passed away peacefully in his sleep. Charlie, now a master of the English language, was passed on to Arthur's daughter, Eleanor. Eleanor was a modern woman of the 30s. She wasn't as stuffy as her father. She loved jazz music and lively gatherings. Charlie's vocabulary expanded dramatically. He picked up snippets of jazz tunes and phrases like "fancy a dance" and "don't be a wet blanket." He was there when Eleanor got the news about the abdication of King Edward VIII, and he mimicked the crackle of the radio as the world tipped towards war. When the Blitz began in 1940, London became a terrifying place. Eleanor, now a volunteer nurse, would come home, her face smudged with soot, and find comfort in Charlie's familiar chatter. During air raids, she'd cover his cage and whisper reassurance. Charlie learned a new, chilling sound, the wail of the air raid siren. He would mimic it with perfect pitch, sometimes sending a jolt of panic through the house long after the danger had passed. Eleanor survived the war, but it took a toll. She married a soldier and tried to build a normal life. Charlie was a constant, a living link to a world before the bombs fell. He learned the names of her children and then her grandchildren. He was there for birthdays, Christmases, and funerals. Eleanor grew old, her movements slowing, her voice softening. One afternoon in 1978, while sitting by the window, listening to Charlie whistle a pre-war melody, she passed away. Charlie was 68 years old. The family didn't know what to do with him. A great-grandson, a young punk rocker named Sid, reluctantly took him in. Charlie's world changed from cozy parlors to a chaotic London, flat-filled with the sounds of the Sex Pistols and the Clash. It was a culture shock. Charlie, ever the mimic, started mixing his phrases. You'd hear, "God save the Queen," "Time for tea," or a perfect guitar riff, followed by "Don't be a wet blanket." Sid thought it was hilarious. He and his friends would teach Charlie punk slogans. For a few years, Charlie was the most rebellious parrot in London. But the punk scene, like all scenes, faded. Sid grew up, got a job, and moved to a quiet suburb. The loud music was replaced by the drone of a television. Charlie learned commercial jingles and news anchor introductions. He saw the fall of the Berlin Wall on TV. He heard the reports of the First Gulf War. Sid lived a quiet life, and in 2010, he passed away from a heart attack. Charlie was now he was sent to a bird sanctuary, a place filled with the squawks and chatter of hundreds of other birds. For the first time in nearly a century, he was surrounded by his own kind. But Charlie was different. He was a feathered historian. The keepers were astonished. He'd whistle a 1930s jazz tune, then mimic an air raid siren, then break into a punk rock anthem. He had a perfectly posh accent when he asked for tea, and a gruff, working-class one when he quoted Sid's friends. He was a living archive of the 20th century. That's where I came in. I'm a historian, and when I heard about this parrot, who held the voices of the past, I had to meet him. I started volunteering at the sanctuary, spending hours just sitting by his cage, listening. He was cautious at first, but I was patient. I'd talk to him about the eras he'd lived through. One day, I was humming a Glenn Miller tune, and he suddenly looked at me. puffed up his feathers, and said, in a soft, feminine voice I now know was Eleanor's fancy a dance. My heart stopped. It was like hearing a ghost. After a year, I adopted him. I knew what I was signing up for. African Greys can live to be 80 or 90, but Charlie had already defied all expectations. He's over 110 years old now. My home is his final chapter, or at least the latest one. Living with him is surreal. Some mornings, he greets me with, "Good morning, Arthur," in a deep, cheerful voice. Other times, when I'm watching the news, he'll mimic the sound of a crackling 1940s radio broadcast. He still busts out a punk riff every now and then, usually when the cat walks by. He is a time capsule with a heartbeat. He carries the echoes of people I've never met. He holds their laughter, their fears, their favorite songs, and their everyday phrases. When he speaks, he's not just mimicking sounds, he's channeling the lives he's touched. He is a testament to the fact that love and memory can be carried forward in the most unexpected of vessels. I know he will outlive me. It's a strange and humbling thought. For the next person who will have the privilege of listening to his stories, sometimes I look at him and wonder what voices he'll learn from me. What parts of my life, my world, will he carry into the future, long after I'm gone? His story isn't over. It's just waiting for the next chapter. And for now, I'm just grateful to be a part of it. Thanks for watching.